Okay, now that we have our map generator, I want to go through how to create an inventory or an item manager, I guess you could call it. So I'll go through in the interface. What you're going to need is an item manager, which persists this item manager scripts, and which controls the item slots, and item prefab, which I'll show you. So if you go into our simple interface here, you see we've got something for the items. The user interface back and front are in there, but the items, which are down here, you can see as I highlight them, these are the item slots across the bottom. So these item slots are the key component to hold your item, and once you start populating these slots with items, you'll see in here the item that is in the slot, and then you can start working with that item during runtime. So part of the items slot is the item slot script over here, and I'll go into that. The item manager has the item manager script, and then the prefabs that you're going to need are the inventory item, which has this inventory item slot script, and then it has an image for the canvas, a canvas image to hold whatever source image, and in this case I've got a simple red potion image there in that prefab temporarily. So jumping back to the prefabs, you've got the inventory item, which is a simple rectangle transform for a canvas image with the inventory item script, and then the item slot prefab is another simple canvas image with the item slot attached to it. If I click into it, you can see all it is a square there, the size you want your item slot, and then if I click into the inventory item, you can see all it is that sample red potion image there. So let's look at the scripts now. If we look first at the item script, so this is a scriptable object. I'll explain more about those. They're heavily used throughout the project, and they're a very important item to understand in Unity. But if you know about these already, you can see I've got an item type enum in there, something to hold the image, the sprite, a string for the item description, and then an integer for the item price. Next, we're going to have the item slot. So this important component is going to have an image, a color for selected color and a non-selected color, and then a bool to let you know if it's selected or not. I'll get more into these scripts, but essentially you're gonna deselect when on awake, and there's a script when you select, and there's a script when you deselect the slot. And basically what those do is just change the color of the background, or some kind of indication that the slot is selected or not. And then what's commented out here, I'll explain in a later video about how to make something appear when you select it, like an item description. The inventory item, that's the other required prefab script here, and that's the image that's going to be shown for the inventory item, and then the item slot name and item slot, those will be part of initializing the item, so that when you initialize the item or create it in the item slot, you'll see the image and the name of the item. Now the item manager is the more complex script here, and I'll get more into this in later videos, but essentially we've got the slots here. The number of slots we're going to have here is 8 across the bottom. There is the 8 slots is all we're going to have on this one. We've got an array of item slots, and then the game objects for the prefab and the item group. The prefab I showed you is the inventory item prefab, and the item group is the actual group of items in the user interface. And then we have an item here based on our scriptable object, a test item that we can load in and test if the slot is working. So down here we have some update scripts I'll get into later, that how to select the slot with a mouse, how to add items, which includes spawning or initializing the item, and using the items and destroying items and so forth. So for now, we'll go ahead and show that on the update script, I've got a keyboard for the V key, got a command when that's pressed, it's going to add a test item. So how that works, you go ahead and get back to Unity and press play, and we've got our slots across the bottom. So if this works properly, we will see red potions appear across the bottom every time I press the V key. So I'll go ahead and press that now, and you see our item slots start populating with items. And as I said, the item slots now, you can see the instantiated inventory item, the red potion, based on our item manager, the test item loaded here, red potion item. So once you have your item manager selected and that script all set, you would essentially take all your slots and drag them into place here from the UI, and for your prefab you would just go over here, drag that over to the inventory item would go in the item prefab there, and then your item group is this here, and then a test item is your scriptable potion there. So hopefully that was helpful. If I missed anything, let me know in the comments. Thanks.